Hello, welcome back to the breaking news update. My name is Jimmy Boyd, and you are watching Boyd News. I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm back with another update coming out from the war between Russia and Ukraine, and I've got a very big lineup of news that I'd like to brief you all on today. So today's date is May 3rd, 2025, and it's Saturday. Hope you guys are enjoying your weekend. We have so much very big news to go into today with this war. We're going to start off with a very big report on your screen. Ukraine shoots down a Russian Su-30 fighter jet with a naval drone. A Russian Su-30 fighter jet was destroyed by a sea drone strike carried out by Ukraine's military intelligence, marking the first time a sea drone takes down a jet, Ukraine's military intelligence said. So this occurred last night. We actually had an Su-30 that was shot down over the Black Sea near the port of Novorossiysk. We also had a Ka-52 Alligator helicopter reportedly shot down as well. So Ukraine was using their naval drones, the Sea Baby Magura V5s, and what we've been hearing recently over the last few months is they now attach R-73 air-to-air missiles on the tops of these. These are air defense missiles, and they've used these to shoot down Russian helicopters before. And so, yeah, it looks like we have for the very first time a Russian Su-30 fighter jet shot down. This is video footage coming out from Ukraine's Military Intelligence Directorate, the GUR. So we're going to talk about that story today, which is very big. And we're also going to go into some reports of massive explosions all across southwestern Russia last night. We had the Krasnodar Krai region being targeted, also the Rostov Oblast, even Crimea being attacked once again. And Ukraine is definitely turning up the heat on the Russians right now, especially in the areas where a lot of these drones are launched from that attack cities like Zaporizhia, Kherson, southeastern Ukraine, Donetsk region. We have a lot of drones that come from Crimea and southwestern Russia, which is primarily the areas that were targeted last night. And then obviously the port of Novorossiysk was heavily hit last night as well. I've got so much videos to go into today and evidence of explosions all across Russia last night. So we'll go into that. We also have reports inside of Kharkiv last night. This in northeastern Ukraine. Kharkiv was heavily attacked once again. I've got some very unfortunate video footage coming out from there to show you guys more residential buildings being destroyed and people being injured. And then also a very big statement from Volodymyr Zelensky today. He's also warning Russia that the parade could potentially be attacked. He's actually letting world leaders know around the world that they have the right to attend that parade if they want to, but he's saying that Ukraine is not an insurance company and cannot guarantee their safety. So is that possibly a huge sign that Ukraine is going to carry out an attack on that parade? Maybe they will, maybe they won't, but that's coming up in about 6 days. So let's go ahead and jump into this, guys. So much information to dive into. We're going to go ahead and get right into this. We'll start off here with Special Kursan Cat. As per Russian sources, yesterday evening, a Ukrainian unmanned surface vessel armed with an R-73 air-to-air missile shot down a Russian Su-30 naval fighter roughly 50 kilometers west of Novorossiysk, marking the first time in history that a military aircraft has been downed by an unmanned maritime drone. Yeah, so Ukraine made history just not too long ago where they shot down, I think, 2 or 3 Russian helicopters. I forget what types they were, I forget the model of it, but it's like an attack helicopter as well. I think it was like an Mi-8 or something like that. I could be wrong on the model. Maybe you guys can remember. You can let me know down in the comments. But here's the Sea Baby drones right here, okay? They're pretty large drones. They've got these missiles attached to them that they use to attack air targets, similar to this Su-30. So looks like now Russian jets are now susceptible to being shot down by a Magura V5 naval drone. So that is very, very big news today. Now, this report from Visioner, Ukrainian air defense forces shot down a Russian Ka-52 attack helicopter. Unfortunately, the pilots managed to eject, and according to reports, Russian forces successfully evacuated them from the water, okay? So this was a report yesterday that was kind of floating around that yesterday evening there could have been a Alligator helicopter. This is a Ka-52 attack helicopter that has been shot down before multiple times. And this allegedly could have been taken down as well. So was this Magura V5 that shot it down? I'm thinking maybe it could have been. Most likely that was probably what was being used to take this thing down. Yeah, so it looks like we could have had a Ka-52 also shot down. So very big news last night. Now for Max 24, update from Drone Bomber. Okay, we've got a map to show you guys. Look at the amount of drones that were heading over here towards Crimea, and also Krasnodar Krai, Rostov Oblast, you can see was heavily attacked. There were some explosions happening up here too, Bryansk, Kursk region, Belgorod. Some drones were heading up that direction as well, but a good majority of them attacking Crimea once again. There's lots of Russian naval bases down here. Krasnodar Krai, lots of military installations over there as well. Krasnodar Krai is attacked multiple times a week on average, and then Rostov as well, okay? So just crazy the amount of drones. These purple lines right here are the Sea Baby drones that were just off the coast of Novorossiysk, where this major port is at over here that Russia uses, okay? So now let's move on to Jurgen Nodit. A state of emergency was declared in Novorossiysk, Russia, following a massive nighttime attack. The Ukrainian attack involved at least 170 UAVs, 14 unmanned boats, 3 Neptune missiles, 8 Storm Shadow missiles. We are waiting for information on the target's hit. Okay, so yeah, allegedly some missiles were fired too. I'm not sure what types of missiles were used, but allegedly they're saying here Storm Shadow or Neptune. We did have some reports as well that the Kerch Bridge may have been attacked. I can show you guys that here in just a little bit. But as far as we know, at least when I checked on mainstream news, there's no huge reports talking about the Kerch Bridge. So we'll discuss that as well, guys. 13 seconds, you're going to see this apartment building inside of Russia getting hit by a drone. Take a look. All right, so it looks like we can see this building here taking a direct hit, most likely from a Ukrainian drone. Was it suppressed by electronic warfare? We don't really know at this time, but there's several videos that I have for you guys of high-rise buildings just like this getting hit, okay? So we'll move on to another update now. Jumping over to Kiev Post. Russian occupation authorities have closed the Crimean Bridge. Explosions are being reported across the occupied peninsula with claims that air defense systems are active. Okay, so what you're going to see here is most likely Russian Panzer air defense systems firing interceptors up into the skies near Crimea or maybe near the Kerch Bridge trying to take down incoming drones. Take a look at this. All right, Ukraine is not messing around. I mean, they went after a lot of different targets last night, guys. Even the Kerch port, I heard, was being attacked. Novorossiysk, just all over the place. Crimea being hammered. Ukraine is very upset right now with what's been happening inside of their territory. There's just been so much, civilian infrastructure being targeted as well. So take a look at this now from Euromaidan Press. Russia was under a massive drone attack overnight. Ministry of Defense claimed its forces destroyed 170 Ukrainian drones across 6 regions. So that's pretty crazy, guys. 170 drones being destroyed allegedly by Russia's Ministry of Defense. So if there was 170 being destroyed, imagine how many actually were flying into Russian territory along with Crimea. It also says here, videos show the moment when a drone struck a residential building in Novorossiysk, Krasnodar Krai, damaging 3 apartment buildings and injuring 4 people. Okay, so in the city of Novorossiysk, that major port city down in the Krasnodar Krai region, southwestern Russia, we have a video here we're going to show you guys. This one we actually just watched, so I want to show you guys this one now. It's a different angle of, I believe, that same building getting hit. And if you look closely, it almost seems like there's no drone striking the building, so this could have been maybe a Russian Panzer S-1 interceptor. Take a look at this, guys.
Охуеть! Охуеть! Блядь!
I wanted to let that roll a little bit more so you guys can see that. So yeah, in the very beginning, I don't see a drone striking this building. Maybe it just happened so quick and you can't really catch it. But we can see a massive explosion here on the side of this building. And I'm thinking maybe if it wasn't a drone, it could have been a Panzer S-1 air defense missile interceptor that potentially struck this building, because we have seen this happen before in the past inside of Russia. A lot of times these interceptors miss their targets trying to bring down an incoming drone, sometimes crashing into somebody's house. So that is a reoccurring thing inside of Russia, okay? So big news coming out from there. Now for more translated, according to Russian sources, Ukrainian drones, including uncrewed naval drones, launched a massive attack on Crimea, Rostov Oblast, and Krasnodar Krai. Drone attacks were also reported in Bryansk, Belgorod, and Kursk Oblast, okay? So what you're going to see here is a strike somewhere inside of the Rostov Oblast, and then when it switches on to another video, pay attention closely. It kind of sounds like maybe a Ukrainian missile drone was possibly used, like the Palinitsia, maybe the Peklo drones. It sounds more like a missile being fired versus a drone, but take a look at this. Okay, so we can see in this first video here, lots of fire taking place. Looks like maybe a drone had crashed, landed either near somebody's house or maybe even on top of it. And then this video that you see right here, it was very hard to hear. It is kind of quiet, I understand. But right after this massive explosion, we can hear what sounds like maybe some sort of turbine engine. It doesn't really sound like a drone because typically you can hear those propellers on them. So it is very possible that maybe Ukraine was using some missile drones yesterday as well. Some sources were indicating maybe Peklo or Palinitsia being used. Now from Summit, Ukraine may have successfully struck the Kerch Bridge connecting occupied Crimea to Russia with what appears to be a missile. The Kerch Bridge has been closed forever. Okay, so no, I have confirmed that the bridge is not closed forever, so that is not the case as far as I know right now. I also tried to research online, see if I could find anything on the Kerch Bridge being struck. I was not able to confirm that. All I was able to confirm was that the bridge was closed at a certain point due to ongoing attacks near the Kerch Bridge. So we've got a video here to show you guys. Let's go ahead and take a look at this. Okay, so in this video, we can see something coming out of the sky, some sort of missile or something, and if you look closely here, this kind of looks like a bridge, but it's very, very hard to tell what exactly we're looking at. So is it possible that maybe the Kerch Bridge was attacked last night? And if it was, it looks like whatever hit it directly slammed on top of it, or very, very close to it, just off to the side. I haven't been able to completely confirm this yet, but if we get more information, I'll let you guys know on that. But very possible that the Kerch Bridge was attacked last night. Now from Claretta Nihuis, Port of Kerch now, boom. Okay, we've got another video here. This looks like a boat or something right here at one of the docks near the port of Kerch, and reportedly that port was attacked as well. Now the port of Kerch does receive a lot of liquefied natural gas and oil that is used to fuel the Russian military on the Crimean Peninsula that comes from the Russian mainland. So I would see why Ukraine would also attack this port. So go ahead and take a look at this. Okay, so it's really hard to hear what's going on, but if you look just over the top of this boat, you can see a massive beam of light, okay, possibly indicating a huge strike over here, maybe from Ukrainian missiles. We did hear that possibly Storm Shadow, Neptune being used, and these would all reach these areas, especially the Neptune could strike the port of Kerch. So we'll wait for further information. Right now, we're still waiting for a lot of details to come out on these strikes. So now for Max 24 in the morning, explosions continue to be heard in Krasnodar Krai, most of them in Novorossiysk, where the Black Sea Fleet base and one of the largest ports are located. Okay, so another 30-second clip, guys. Take a look.
To станція ПВО.
All right, so it looks like these attacks were either starting very early or going on all the way through the morning today, as a lot of these attacks did take place last night. But what we can hear from this video is lots of explosions in the background over here. It looks like somebody was standing out on their balcony recording this near the port of Novorossiysk, okay? Now from Max 24, footage of a Russian helicopter chasing Ukrainian naval drones in the Black Sea, okay? So I'm going to show you guys this. This came out on X as well. Allegedly, Russian forces inside of a helicopter shooting at Ukrainian naval drones. These are the same drones that reportedly shot down that SU-30 fighter jet, possibly even the Ka-52 Alligator helicopter. Take a look. Okay, so what we see here is apparently Russian soldiers shooting a Ukrainian naval drone at the Sea Baby Magura V5s. And so these are the same exact drones that are reportedly attacking Russian helicopters now that SU-30 that has been shot down as of last night. So this is allegedly how the Russians usually take care of this issue for them, is they try to use these helicopters to fly over the Black Sea and take out these incoming Magura V5s. Okay, so just a new video to show you guys there. Now we'll move on to Oriana Lila, if I'm saying that right. Kharkiv this night. Okay, we've got a video coming out from Kharkiv now. We're going to jump on over to these attacks happening inside of Ukraine. So let's check this out real quick. All right, guys, once again, more evidence of Russian drones slamming into civilian apartment homes inside of Kharkiv. And Kharkiv, up in the northeastern portion of Ukraine, gets hit almost every day. I feel like we talk about it just about every day or every other day now. So yeah, more apartments being destroyed over here. I heard thermobaric warheads were being used. I think one of these posts are going to talk about that. So let's move on to the Ukrainian review. During the attack on Kharkiv, Russian army used drones with thermobaric warheads, press service of Kharkiv Regional Prosecutor's Office reported. Such weapons create a powerful blast wave and a high temperature cloud, causing large-scale destruction and numerous casualties. Okay, this is that same apartment building that was hit. So we can see the amount of damage here after it caught on fire due to these Russian drone attacks. Look at all the destruction here to another building. Look at all the shrapnel that was slamming up against this wall here as well from these Russian drones exploding. Very sad to see that, guys, but multiple hits inside of Kharkiv last night once again. Now from Jay and Kiev, every night now, Russia's purely targeting apartment buildings all across Ukraine with Shahed drones and aerial bombs. Just mass murder, Kharkiv now. 6-second clip, guys, take a look. All right, so sad to see here, guys. Imagine hanging out on your balcony, hearing these incoming drones. Then we've got these drones just smashing into apartment buildings, high-rise, sky-rise buildings all across Kharkiv. This is something that the Ukrainians are enduring over here almost every single day. Imagine trying to sleep every night and you just can't due to all these explosions. Now from Naval reports, Zelensky, Ukraine is ready for a ceasefire starting May 7th, but for 30 days. A 3-day truce as proposed by Putin is insufficient, to develop further steps for ending the war. Ukraine is prepared for a serious, long-term approach. Okay, this was what Zelensky stated today. He was actually telling Putin to accept a 30-day ceasefire, that's all Ukraine would agree to. Give us a 30-day ceasefire in this war. We will agree to that, and we will start it right before the beginning of your parade on May 7th. Okay, but if Russia does not accept it, again, what we're hearing today is that Ukraine could potentially target the parade, and we'll have to see if they do. That's coming up here in a few days. Now look at this from Military News UA. We are not an insurance company to guarantee the safety of Russians and their guests on May 9th. Our position is very simple to all countries that went or are going on May 9th. We cannot be responsible for what is happening on the territory of the Russian Federation. They provide you with security, and therefore we will not give you any guarantees, says Zelensky. So is this a sign that Ukraine is going to attack the parade? Maybe they will, but we don't know if they're going to for sure yet. But I think this is going to make a lot of leaders start to not want to show up, and I do have some information on that today, which is very interesting. Take a look at this from Jurgen Audit. Fico and Vucic, who had promised to attend the parade in Moscow, fell ill at the same time. Russian media citing journalists. He's got some little laughing emojis here. So Robert Fico, Prime Minister of Slovakia, President of Serbia, Alexander Vucic. Okay, so apparently all of a sudden, both of them have fallen ill and will not be able to attend the parade coming up very soon. I know that Alexander Vucic, I think he was just visiting in Florida in the United States just over the last 24 hours, and apparently has ended up in the hospital due to falling ill, and he has canceled his trip early here in the United States, going to be heading back home to Serbia. So very, very interesting news. Do you think this is related to the statement that came out from Zelensky today that maybe they're going to go ahead and bomb the parade? I mean, Ukraine has come out and said that the parade is a legitimate military target, okay? And a lot of people are claiming that on X as well. So maybe Ukraine will carry out some sort of attack on over there to disrupt the parade. I'm thinking it's highly likely that could happen. Now, for Max 24, April 30th, Modi has canceled his trip to Moscow for the parade. It has been announced that Indian Defense Minister will come instead. May 3rd, Indian Defense Minister has canceled his trip to Moscow for the parade. So look at all these officials coming out of India now. So Modi, the Prime Minister over there, was supposed to be going over to Moscow. Then the Indian Defense Minister was going to go, and then he all of a sudden said he's not going anymore. So it looks like they are very worried that this parade is going to be trampled on by Ukrainian drones, maybe missiles striking Moscow as well, and they don't want to risk their lives over there. So here's another report from War Translated. India's Defense Minister canceled Moscow Victory Parade visit following the Prime Minister India today. Rajnath Singh was to replace Narendra Modi, who also declined. India will be represented by Deputy Defense Minister Sanjay Seth. Okay, so now their Deputy Defense Minister, they just keep passing the ball on to the next person who wants to go over there and risk their life if Ukraine decides to attack the parade. So pretty crazy, guys. Looks like we might see a lot of world leaders decide not to attack over there. And who knows, maybe Ukraine won't even attack at all. This could just be a tactic just to get a lot of world leaders that did want to show up and attend the parade to basically not show up and kind of, destroy the party, basically, is kind of what I'm seeing here. Now for Max 24, so Moscow parade, okay? So this was a picture that came out in the last couple days showing the amount of world leaders that were going to be attending the Victory Day parade on May 9th. And so far, already 2 people no longer attending, okay? And then obviously including Modi too, out of India. So pretty insane news, guys. Now from Jane Kiev. The cowardly Russian dictator is such a little weasel. Okay, sorry, there is some profanity right here, but I won't say it. Vladimir Putin will be present at the parade on Red Square via video communication, according to Reuters. Okay, so you can see somebody put a little gif down here of a minion laughing. So apparently even Vladimir Putin is not going to be attending it in person. He's going to be showing up via video communication. So does that show that Ukraine is going to crash the party here very soon? I think it could be highly likely, guys. We'll wait and see what happens here. But I think there's going to be some fireworks happening on that day for sure. Now for Max 24, May 10th may not come if Kiev if Zelensky organizes provocations in Moscow on May 9th, according to Dmitry Medvedev. Okay, so Medvedev is the deputy head of the National Security Council out of Russia. And we know how Medvedev talks, okay? I've shown you guys multiple, articles in the past talking about him. He's a very, what we could consider like a war hawk out of Russia's Kremlin and their government. So he's stating that, time may not come inside of Kiev on May 10th. The day may not come, right? If Zelensky decides to organize provocations or some sort of attack onto Russia on May 9th, okay? So is Russia going to respond maybe with another Oreshnik medium-range ballistic missile that was fired onto Dnipro months back? Maybe. Or maybe something else can happen, who knows? But it looks like Medvedev is warning Zelensky not to attack the parade on May 9th. Now for Max 24, Zelensky said that Ukraine could receive $30 billion in U.S. aid in 2025, with $15 billion allocated for 2025 and another $15 billion for 2026. Ukraine is negotiating the advanced part of the 2026 aid to speed up weapon deliveries. These funds will contribute to the Reconstruction Investment Fund. Okay, so this is very, very good news to hear for Ukraine. This means that the U.S. and Ukraine are going to be working together continuously on military aid and support for Ukraine. And I think all this started with that whole minerals deal. Once Ukraine and U.S. signed that, there's been a complete flip-flop with the U.S. now, and the U.S. appears to be standing more on Ukraine's side versus Russia now. So this is going to get very interesting. Very big news, guys. Potentially $30 billion in U.S. aid coming this year. Now from Bliskovka, my conversation with Trump at the Vatican last week was probably the best in our relationship, Volodymyr Zelensky stated. The president said that during the meeting, he raised the issue of air defense systems, and Donald Trump promised to work on it. Okay, so we've been hearing a lot about that Ukraine was stating they were willing to purchase like 10 Patriot air defense systems in cash from the U.S. using their own funding and also the EU's funding. And at the time, we were hearing that Trump was like, no, we're not going to do it. There was a lot of reports on that. Now, apparently, after they spoke at the Vatican, we had Zelensky asking Donald Trump, if he was willing to supply some air defense systems. Looks like Trump said, yes, we'll go ahead and work on that. So again, very good meeting out of the Vatican just earlier this week. And it looks like the U.S. and Ukraine will continue to work together. Now, from Anton Gerashenko, Putin shared that despite his calm demeanor and restraint, he always feels the urge to hit someone, but he fights it. He personally gave and continues to give orders to kill, from his political opponents and honest journalists to peaceful Ukrainians. Politkovskaya, Litvinenko, Magnitsky, Nemtsov, sorry guys, these are hard to pronounce, Navalny, tens of thousands of innocent people killed by Putin. This cannot be silenced or hidden. The time for payback will come. Okay, so this is a Russian propagandist that usually interviews Putin quite a lot, and I want you guys to see this. Putin's going to admit that apparently, even though he appears very calm and collected many times, which a lot of people could say that, he does appear calm in his videos when he's talking to the press or anything like that. Apparently he has an urge to hit people, which is a clear sign that maybe Russian Vladimir Putin is not very mentally stable if he has the urge to do so. So take a look at this, guys.
Вы внешне всегда очень хладнокровный, сдержанный. Неужели никогда не возникает желания кому-то, что называется, врезать?
Всегда.
Всегда.
Я с этим живу, но я с этим борюсь.
Вы внешне всегда очень хладнокровный.
All right, this is interesting, right? So imagine a world leader stating that they have the urge to hit somebody, and then at the same time, Russia's attacking Ukraine over here, okay? So that's not a good sign if a world leader is stating that they feel like they have the urge to strike somebody like that, and especially in power of a major nation, a nuclear nation like Russia, okay? So that is not a good sign coming out from there, and we've seen so much coming out from Putin. That maybe Putin is not mentally stable, okay? Look at the way this war is being carried out. We have innocent civilians inside of Ukraine being struck every single day, and many of these orders come from the top from Putin. So he's obviously, he's responsible for many of these attacks that happen inside of Ukraine, okay? So let's move on to another update now from Naval reports. The UK has officially transferred all AS-90 self-propelled howitzers to Ukraine, marking the end of their use in the British Army. The delivery includes 68 systems over 3 batches, with the latest arriving in early 2025. Okay, so very big news, guys. So 68 of these AS-90 self-propelled howitzers that are going to be going to Ukraine that the British Army is now transferring. So very, very big news, guys. Looks like Ukraine's going to be receiving a lot of these. And we know Ukraine has some similar ones as well that they're only also producing, I think, 3 to 4 of those per month in their own nation. Okay, so very big news there from the UK. Now from Savchenko, Volodymyr, Zelensky gets a second chance. Trump's mood on Ukraine war begins to change, according to the New York Times. Ukraine-U.S. relations are improving after the signing of an economic agreement on minerals, where Kyiv managed to interest Trump with favorable terms. Trump is disappointed with Putin, publicly criticizing him and threatening sanctions, which contrasts with his previous rhetoric. But instability remains. Trump hesitates, and his advisors have opposing views, from loyalty to the Kremlin to a hard line. So this was that picture coming out from the Vatican just in the last week when Trump and Zelensky had met. And I feel like this is where it all changed. Once they met and they had this conversation, we've seen a completely different viewpoint coming from the United States. And then when Zelensky signed this, had this deal signed with the U.S. for the minerals deal, that's when things completely flopped, and now the U.S. is more on Ukraine's side. So this is what the New York Times is reporting today, okay, that looks like Zelensky's being given a second chance, and the U.S. is softening their approach onto Ukraine and not being so aggressive with them. So that's good news for Ukraine. Now from Slava, elites pressure Putin. Russia scared by Ukraine U.S. deal. There is growing concern in Moscow that Russia may lose its leverage in negotiations with the United States over the war in Ukraine after Kyiv and Washington signed a deal on minerals. Behind the scenes, nervousness is growing among the Russian elite that the deal could represent a new alliance between the United States and Ukraine. Of course, Russia can continue to fight, but there is a risk that everything could return to the way it was under Biden. If Trump gets the impression that people are trying to deceive him and delay the negotiation process, he may decide to increase military aid, the scientist noted. Yeah, I think very soon we could potentially see the U.S. slamming Russia with sanctions, also at the same time increasing military support. I mean, this is going to be huge, guys. If that happens to be the case, will the U.S. do that? We don't know yet, but I think there's preparations for that underway right now, and I think a lot of that is to force Russia to peace. But who knows? We could see the Russian economy collapse here very soon. We could see something crazy happen inside of Russia. So it all depends on what Donald Trump decides to do, along with the EU. They're supposedly coming out with a new package of sanctions here again very soon as well. Now from Spravdi Stratcom Center, news of new batch of Russian sanctions coming from both US and EU hitting Russian markets this morning, and the Russian economy and the war. All right, so just as we're talking about, sanctions from the EU and also from the United States slamming Russia, look at the stock market today, okay? Anywhere from like 1 to 7% is what it looks like across the board here, even up to 9% here with SPBE. A lot of these companies just crashing like crazy due to the talks of potential sanctions going to be slammed onto Russia here very soon. And I think Russia's going to get hit with this. If they don't try to end this war soon and show that they're ready, I think we're going to see some action from the US and the EU on this. Now I have this report I wanted to show you guys. This came out yesterday. Look at this from Max 24. U.S. State Department approves $310 million F-16 training and support package for Ukraine. This was announced yesterday. Here's the details on that from Max 24 again. The package will include aircraft modification and upgrades, training of personnel in the operation, maintenance, and support of fighter jets, spare parts, repairs, ground equipment, engineering, technical and logistical support, and more. Okay, so that's very big. That means that the F-16 is going to be one of the major fighter jets that Ukraine uses in the future. Their Air Force will take on a major upgrade here. I think they're going to continue to receive more F-16s in the near future. I think there was a major meeting on F-16 training yesterday being held, and Zelensky was there. This is probably where we had this approval of the $310 million F-16 training and support package. So, yeah, big news for Ukraine, even more further now that they're going to be getting more support with these F-16s. We also had those reports over the last couple days from open source intelligence on X that they were stating that there was like some airframes that were coming from the U.S. that were decommissioned to use as spare parts. So that was big news as well. Ukraine's got a lot of spare parts for their F-16s now. So huge support from the U.S. Now from Bliskovka, this night, Ukrainian air defense forces shot down 77 out of 183 enemy UAVs. 73 enemy imitator UAVs were lost locally without negative consequences. All right, guys, so 183 enemy UAVs entering into Ukraine last night. We've been seeing well over 150 on a daily basis from the Russians almost every day for the last 3 or 4 days now, I want to say. Looks like Ukraine was able to take down about half or more of these. On average, usually what we see, and about 73 of them taken down most likely by electronic warfare. But just like we saw in Kharkiv, we still had some direct hits, okay? Now for the Kyiv Independent, these are the indicative estimates of Russia's combat losses as of May 3rd, according to the armed forces of Ukraine. And our final update of the day, Russia's losses as of May 3rd, 1,170 troops, 0 AFVs, 121 vehicles and fuel tanks, 4 tanks, 50 artillery systems, 126 UAVs, 1 cruise missile, 1 anti-aircraft warfare system, 1 special equipment. Okay, once again, guys, not a whole lot being destroyed. There's just been a heavy trend of this over the last probably 4 or 5 days now, where there's just not a lot of numbers here, and possibly indicating that Russia's, again, not launching a lot of attacks on the front line. I really think a lot of this has to do with the Victory Day parade coming up. I think a lot of Russian troops are being pulled off the front line. But again, this gives Ukraine a huge opportunity to build up their forces with drones covering the front line and to secure their positions, maybe even make some gains right now. Yeah, so not a whole lot being destroyed from what we see here, guys. I mean, there are a few numbers over here on this side, which a lot of times there's basically nothing on this side. But aside from that, really not too much, okay? So I want to thank you guys very much for being here for this update on May 3rd, 2025. And I hope you guys all enjoy your weekend. And just a friendly reminder, tomorrow I will not be here. Tomorrow will be Sunday, excuse me. And on Sundays, I do not record any news for you guys, okay? So I will be back returning on Monday on the 5th, okay? So thank you so much for tuning in for this update. If you got something out of this, please smash that like button. Also, if you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing down below. Hit the notification bell. That way YouTube can notify you. And with that, hope you all have a great day. Everybody take care and God bless. And we'll see you in the next one.